Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into this amazing little logical puzzle from the 14th century. It asks a really simple question about faith and rules, but the answer? Whoa, it reveals a paradox that could literally unravel an entire system of belief. Okay, let's jump right in.
Okay, so here's the big question at the heart of it all. Can you actually be commanded to believe something? I mean, on the surface, it sounds simple, right? But as you're about to see, the answer is anything but a simple yes or no. Trying to answer it logically, well, it leads us straight into a fascinating trap.
Think about it. If you were going to build any system of rules, especially a religious one, where would you even begin? The most logical place, the most obvious starting point would have to be the foundation for everything else, right? A command to believe.
You know, a lot of people, for instance, look at the Torah and say, hey, the very first positive commandment is right there. Believe in God. And that feels right, doesn't it? It feels like the most basic, fundamental starting point, the prerequisite for every other rule that follows. But what if that very first step is actually a logical impossibility?
Well, according to this incredible 14th century philosophical work, Or Hashem, which translates to light of the Lord, that common sense idea, it's not just a small mistake. The author calls it a famous mistake, a really profound error.
Now that is a bold claim. To call something so widely accepted a famous mistake, that's not just a simple disagreement. It's a direct challenge. It really forces you to stop and ask, okay, what is so fundamentally wrong with commanding someone to believe?
Okay, to really get why this is a problem, we gotta break down the basic logic of any command. It's actually a pretty simple sequence. First, you have to recognize that a commander exists and that they have authority. Then, step 2, they issue the command. And finally, step 3, you follow it. Seems straightforward, doesn't it?
Okay, but this is where the whole thing starts to get really tricky. Think about a normal command, like honor thy father. That works because you already accept the premise. You know you have a father. But when the command is believe in God, you see the problem? The subject of the command is the commander themselves. You're being ordered to believe in the exact same entity that you have to already believe in just to accept the order in the first place. Do you see that crazy logical loop?
So this isn't just some tricky little word game. This circular logic creates a completely impossible, never-ending paradox.
And here's the absolute heart of that paradox. To obey the command, believe in God, you have to already assume that a God exists who has the authority to give you that command. You're basically assuming the conclusion before you've even started. It's the classic chicken and egg problem, right? And this is where the logic just completely spirals out of control. So let's say you try to wiggle out of it. You might say, well, I believe in God because I was commanded to believe in God. But see, that doesn't solve anything. It just pushes the problem back one more step. Because to accept that command, you first have to believe there was a God who issued it. So now you need a prior belief to justify your current belief, which was supposed to be the first one. It just keeps going. It's an infinite regression.
This is what the text calls an infinite chain. It's an endless series of justifications you'd need. To prove the validity of that very first command, you'd need this endless chain of prior beliefs, each one leaning on the one before it. You never ever get to a solid starting point. And look, this isn't just some fun philosophical puzzle. The author is making a much bigger point. He argues this logical failure is totally catastrophic. Because if your entire foundation is built on an infinite paradox, the whole structure on top of it, the whole point, as he says, is destroyed. It can't stand.
So, okay, if belief can't be a command, then what is it? I mean, if it's not the first brick you lay, then what's its purpose? Well, the text offers a solution that's actually way more elegant and powerful.
The author uses this fantastic metaphor to explain what belief's real role is. I want you to picture a taproot. You know, it's not just another root among many. It's that deep, central anchor that gives the entire plant its stability, its life.
And this, the text argues, is the true nature of belief. It's not a command sent down from on high. It is the taproot of all beginnings. It's the fundamental precondition. It's the fertile ground from which the very idea of a commander and their rules can even begin to grow.
So here's the crucial insight, right? Belief cannot be commanded, because it has to exist before any command can be heard, let alone obeyed. It's the assumed foundational reality that the entire structure of commandments is built on top of.
And I gotta tell you, this isn't just some clever little intro at the beginning of the book. This single idea, that belief is a taproot, not a command, becomes the absolute bedrock for the entire massive work of Or Hashem.
And from this one point, you can see how the author builds something truly monumental. The resolution to this one paradox, it becomes the unshakable foundation for everything else he's about to discuss, from the nature of God all the way to the purpose of humanity.
I mean, just look at the scale of this project. The book is laid out in 4 huge treatises, and each one tackles some of the absolute heaviest questions in theology and philosophy. And every single bit of it rests on that one initial piece of logic we just walked through. And across those 4 big sections, the author lays out 32 distinct principles and studies. 32! And every single one of them grows directly from that core idea we started with, that belief is the fundamental, uncommanded taproot of the entire system.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's a really powerful shift in how you look at things. It suggests that the most foundational ideas in any system, whether it's faith or science or even just our own personal philosophy, they aren't always commands we're told to follow. Sometimes they're the assumed ground we're already standing on.
And of course, that leaves us with one last, huge question to chew on. If belief can't be commanded, if it has to exist before the rules, then where on earth does it come from? How does it even begin?